Welcome to our Spanish Fork Salem Chamber of Commerce new networking lunch. We really appreciate you being here today, and we can tell that you're enjoying each other's company. In addition to our networking, you know, we have a speaker, and today we have invited Spanish Fork Police Department Officers Smith and Dennison to come and talk to us about business safety in our physical locations, I think, and as well as our cyber safety. So I'd like to turn the time over to them for their presentation today.
So I'm Detective Smith. I've been in Spanish Fork for a little over 5 years. I'm currently assigned to the narcotics enforcement. I'm also part of the Utah County SWAT team. So I was asked today to talk about some active shooter type stuff. It's unfortunate this is happening. I mean, everybody gets up every day, maybe checks the mail, or not mail, paper, you know, Facebook, something, and there's always been some shooting somewhere. Schools, businesses, it could be anywhere. Before, it was kind of essentially located to, you know, active shooters in schools. It's everywhere now. You could be at the mall, you could be at your work, you could be anywhere. So there's been trainings and things put out and stuff for us as law enforcement to where we've kind of changed gears to responding to these active shooters. Obviously, I can't be there as soon as it happens. You guys will be the first ones there, and you guys can do things. So this is what we're just going to talk about today. So, has anybody been part of an active shooter training before? A couple of you? Okay. I'm gonna kind of gear this towards the workplace. It's kind of what I was told to do. So I'm not sure exactly what everybody's job is, but obviously we all have something we do. We go to work every day. I don't know if you're, you know, in a building, you know, you're outside. I don't know what you're doing, but always have in the back of your mind of something like this happening. Now, there's several ways to handle this. But beforehand, you need to be informed, number one. If you go over to your workplace, supervisors, you guys want to talk about it, please do, because you got to have a plan in place if this happens. There's things you guys can do to reach out. I know you can reach out to our department, our SWAT team. We can come and do trainings for you. We can come and teach kind of like this right now, give presentations. You guys can have, I don't know if you guys have like daily meetings with your supervisors. This, what I'm reading off right now is just straight from the internet. It's ready.gov under active shooter. I mean, that's something you guys could pull up in a staff meeting or something like that, talk about it, take it to your employees, and have something ready because, like I said, it's happening way too often these days, and I'd much rather you be prepared than not. So number one, you need to make a plan. Not only with your work, but let's take this to your family too. Your spouse. You know, you're in dinner one night, it's, you know, off the wall topic of an active shooter, but it's something you guys need to talk about because it's happening so frequently. So you make a plan with your family, what you guys are going to do if something happens, you know, where stuff is, if you need to get it, stuff like that. Let's go to the during. So there's 3 things that we stress. There's run and escape. There's hide if escape is not possible. And there's fight if it's the last resort. So run and escape. So getting away from the shooter and the shooters is the top priority. If you're in a room and something's happened and you can hear it, it's towards, you know, opposite end of where you are. Get whoever you can with you and get the heck out. That's going to save you, and whoever's with you, you're going to be gone. In the meantime, try to be getting people warned of something's happening in the building and spread the word. A lot of people jump on, you know, Facebook Live or whatever. That's a good tool, but it's kind of a crappy tool for us. Because if you're streaming it live, you know, you're in the building or something, you're showing that shooter possibly, if he's following, probably not, but if he is, he's now seeing what we're doing. And we don't want him to do that because then he's going to have the tactics on top of us. And obviously, if we can't do our job, more people are going to get hurt. Leave your belongings behind and get away. If you have laptops and stuff, your life is not worth your laptop. Get out of there and don't take anything with you. I mean, get your phone so you can contact people, other stuff like that. Help others escape if possible. If they don't agree to, if they want to stay, don't make them. I mean, that's their decision. You and other people, that's your priority to do. Let's see, and then obviously call 911. It's going to be very hectic, but when we go to calls of service, we're getting the call and we're getting it delayed, by 2 minutes to 5 minutes. The shooter could be in one area when you guys call, but now he's in a totally different area, and we're still thinking he's in this area. So try to keep our 911 dispatcher up to date. We need the best description you can give, the best location, and how many there is, or weapons or anything like that. That'll help us out. Okay, let's go to hide, if escape is not possible. So get out of the shooter's view and stay very quiet. Again, going back to your workplace, if you have closets, if you have rooms that can be locked, go to those rooms. Jump in that closet. Get as many people as you can in that closet, but it's imperative that you're quiet, because all a shooter's looking for is multiple victims, as many people as he can get, right? So as you're getting people put away, he's not necessarily going to go check that closet. He's just looking for people, and he's picking them off as he goes. So hide if you can. Silence all electronic devices and make sure that they don't vibrate, because obviously we all hear vibrations that can give it away. Lock and block any doors, and I'm talking like if you lock the door, start throwing desks, stuff in front of that door. So that's just another barrier he's got to get through to get to you. Don't hide in too big of groups. Spread out. Hide separately and make it more difficult for them. Because if you guys all get in, a medium-sized closet, and he happens to go to that closet, you just lost that many people in that closet if he finds you. Hopefully that's not the case. If you do call the police, use text message. Does anybody know you can now text 911? A lot of agencies have that now. I know Utah County, you can text them, and they will actually text you back, and then that's how we can get a call created. Most of them do. If you just text 911, it'll go to somewhere. If you call, just try to talk as quiet as you can if you're hiding. Okay, let's see. If you do hide, you're going to stay in place until you hear from us. The reason is because if you hide for 10 or so minutes, don't think you hear anything else, you open the door and they're still there, then you just open yourself up again. Hide until we come and find you. And I mean, it could be for hours, but when we go into something like this, we are searching every inch of that building once the threat's been eliminated. So if you're in a small closet, we're going to get to you, but just stay there as long as you can. Obviously, the hiding place should be out of the shooter's view, and provide protection too. I don't know if you guys are familiar with weapons or how bullets work, but there's a difference between cover and concealment. Behind this wall would be perfect cover. A bullet's not going to go through that. You'll be fine behind that. You get behind a table like this, that's called concealment. That bullet's going to go right through, and it will get you. So when you hide, you're going to want to hide behind something that's sturdy and is going to stop that bullet, not behind just the door. Don't stand behind the door, because that bullet's going to go right through that door and potentially get you. So make sure you know something that's going to stop the bullet, get behind that. Okay, the last thing is fight. It's an absolute last resort. Now, this is something you guys have to get in your head now if this is something you're going to do. This is not something where you can think about, okay, maybe I'll do this, and then if it comes to it, I'm going to do it. No, you have to commit now, in your head right now. Because if you don't, and you get the hesitation, it's going to cost you your life. When you're going to fight, you're going all out. You're leaving everything you got to stop him. You got to commit your actions fast and aggressively as possible against the shooter. Again, I can't tell you how to do that, because I'm not in that situation. I mean, if you can find other weapons of yourself, this talks about recruiting others to ambush that person. Talks about makeshift weapons, chairs, fire extinguishers, scissors, books. I mean, ultimately, you're trying to save yourself and others. So if you got to grab a pair of scissors and stab the crap out of whoever it is, you got to do it, because you're going to save yourself and others. Be prepared to cause severe or lethal injury to that shooter. So again, right now you're talking, if you're going to do this, you're killing that person, because that's going to stop the threat, right? So you got to, in your head right now, you have to decide that. This talks about throwing items and improvised weapons to distract or disarm the shooter. Again, that's something that it happens. I mean, you can distract somebody long enough to ambush them. That's something that's going to be part of your plan. So that's something you got to think about now. Okay, let's talk about the after. So after is going to be when we come in and we find you. Now, there's been all sorts of discussions about police coming in, pointing guns at you, and I guess more or less, you're not the suspect, but you feel that the gun pointed to you is not good. Look at it from our end. We have very limited information on who this shooter is. We're going to treat everybody as if they are that shooter. So what's the number one thing we want to see when we come in contact with you? Your hands. Your hands are going to be visible and empty. When we open that door, we're going to be banging, police department, police department. And when we come in, just put your hands up. Simply put your hands up. What we're going to do after that, we're going to kind of formulate everybody to one side of the room or line up, and we are going to search you. We are going to search you because, again, I don't know who you are, and I don't want to have a potential miss of the shooter, and I go up and let him go, and all of a sudden we get outside. Now he's shooting me, you, everybody else. So you will be searched. You will be searched pretty thoroughly. I'm not going to dive in your pockets, but we're going to definitely check you for weapons, make sure you have nothing like that. And this goes back to leaving belongings, backpacks, purses. Leave them, because that's another big thing for us. When we see a backpack or a purse, obviously that's where we think the gun's going to be, and that's going to be searched obviously faster than your person. Obviously in this situation, officers are going to be armed with rifles, shotguns. If you're going to see a SWAT team come in, we're going to have helmets, vests, all sorts of stuff. We could have flashbangs, we could have pepper spray. So just be prepared for that if you're in that situation. We will be yelling, we will be shouting, we will be pushing. Another thing too is if you are in the building and you decide to, you're hiding for a while, you hear us, and then you decide you want to run to us, again, hands up so we can see. Now obviously, we're going after this dude, so our adrenaline is through the roof. And if you're running at us and we're yelling at you and you're not obeying, you may get pushed, you may get thrown down, you may be put in handcuffs. Because we're going after that threat and we don't know exactly what you guys are, so just be prepared for that. It's nothing against you guys, it's just something that we're going to do because that's the way we're trained. Follow our instructions. Like I said, we'll evaluate you, we'll search you, we're going to put you somewhere, and then we're going to have an exit route. So you guys will probably be lined up. If you're in multiple groups, you'll be lined up and you'll be escorted out of the building. You may be searched a few times, so just be prepared for that. Let's see. Big thing this is in all caps. Take care of yourself first. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty crazy situation. You guys will be seeing people shot, probably people that's been deceased. You will see that. But the number one thing is take care of yourself first. If you've been hit and you come across us, obviously we're going to evaluate you, but let us know what's hurting, where you've been hit, and we'll start to render aid as soon as we can. But number one thing is self-aid. I don't know if you guys at your workplace have first aid stuff in a place where you can get to easily. That's something too to talk about. It could be Band-Aids, whatever. The number one thing though that we recommend these days is getting tourniquets. Tourniquets can save lives, and they've got to be applied fairly quickly. So talk to your supervisors, whatever staff meeting, about first aid, tourniquets. I know there's lots of first aid trainings out there that shows you how to use tourniquets, stuff like that. Get those because that can save a lot of people. If you're going to help people when they're injured, get them out of danger. If you need to break out a window and start throwing people out that window, do that. Because if that's going to save you and them, do it. Let's see, we talked about that. If you come across somebody that's been wounded, they're still alive, but there's still stuff happening. First aid, turn those people onto their sides if they're unconscious and keep them warm. That's what it's saying. Basically, if somebody's been shot and they're unconscious, if we turn them to the side, it's called a recovery position. That way their airway is somewhat open, and that way that you know that if you put them in that way, they should be okay until we can get to them and render first aid. And then lastly, obviously, like I said, this is going to be very, very, very crazy, emotional. You're going to see lots of things. So consider, I don't say consider, I say do. Reach out to therapists, stuff like that, because this will affect the way you think, and it'll affect your emotions. It'll affect your everything. Hopefully, again, you guys don't have to ever experience this, but we have to train as if you will, because who knows? It could happen, and it's been happening way too often lately. So please, if you guys want more information on this, come to me. I can give you this website. I personally think this is something that should be in staff meetings in businesses, because we stress it in schools. We do all the training in the schools, but it's in the businesses where we kind of lack, and it's not necessarily our part, it's kind of the business's part. This is just something that's starting to come out, and the businesses are not, I guess the workplace, they're not quite ready for this. So bring it up in staff meetings. And if you guys want some help, come to us, come to Spanish Fork PD. We're happy to help, give you trainings, whatever you guys would like. So other than that, is there any questions on this? Cool. I'll turn the time over to Detective Dennison.
So to start off, little boy goes to his mother one day, says, hey, how do people come to be? The mother says, well, there was Adam and Eve, and they had babies, and then from there, babies, babies, babies. So that's kind of how we came to be. Well, the little boy didn't like that answer, so he went to his dad. Goes to the dad and says, hey, how did humans come to be? He says, well, there were monkeys, and then monkeys kind of evolved, and then here we are. So the boy goes back to the mom and says, hey, you're a liar. You know, that's not what Daddy said. She says, well, honestly, that's where your dad's side of the family came from. So just kind of one of the things, I'm talking on cybercrime. I kind of want to talk a little bit about things that some cities have had problems with, and not local, but smaller businesses have had problems with. And then probably go over some safety tips so that it goes from, that applies not only to big businesses, but some of the smaller businesses as well. So this is out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A Florida city agreed to pay $600,000 in ransom to hackers who took over a computer system, the latest in thousands of attacks worldwide aimed at extorting money from governments and businesses. The city council out of the Florida city voted unanimously to pay the $600,000 to these people. Luckily for them, their insurance covered it, but I'm sure their rates went up significantly from there. But when they did some research, they hired IT guys, they came out, they looked into it, they actually traced it back. It says the hackers apparently got into the city system when an employee clicked on an email link that allowed them to upload the malware. So I know a lot of businesses put their own personal monitoring software on there, so that helps a lot, but sometimes that's not enough. A lot of it is making sure your employees aren't going to websites they're not supposed to. And sometimes it even comes down to cell phones. I know some businesses don't allow employees to have their cell phone, because if you connect to the local network or the Wi-Fi and they go to a website or they already have something on the phone, that can then potentially be leaked into that system, and then that can go, as per these instances, citywide. Talks about in here also, Baltimore was hit. They refused to pay the hackers $760,000. That's what they were requesting. It says Atlanta, New Jersey. Basically, the government sent out a team on it, and the team traced it back, and they said it came back to a group of men. They know who they are, but they're still trying to find them. They caused $6 million. They received more than $6 million in payments from all that they did, and over $30 million in damage to computer systems. And as part of that, what happens is they got the money, they gave them the encryption key, and when they gave them the encryption key, they still didn't get everything back. They only got about 70% of their stuff back. One more is, this one was in another city in Florida. I don't know what's going on in Florida, but it says that during an emergency meeting, they agreed to pay 42 Bitcoins, which equates to about $500,000. Basically, and it's a city of 65,000, so not much bigger than Spanish Fork or a lot of the cities around here. It was the same thing. They were hit, they agreed to pay it. It not only took down their computers, it took down their phone systems. It took down, dispatch. They couldn't call, they couldn't receive. it created such an issue that the city decided they couldn't go without it. So they ended up paying out the money for it. And as far as the article said, they never caught the guys. So they don't know who did it. Most likely it's overseas, but you know, these are hard things with the technology we have these days. So one of the things we kind of hint at, or the bullet points, is one is always have an antivirus. These antivirus programs can prevent people, so if you do end up going to these websites, or even trusted websites, sometimes they get put in the line of coding. And when that comes in, they can detect it and they can hopefully prevent it. However, it is not 100% foolproof. So one of the big things they talk about is updating your software, okay? So make sure your computers, don't avoid updating your Adobe, don't avoid updating your antivirus, update Windows. If you're on a Mac, update the Mac program. Do everything you can to try to prevent this issue, because I don't know, I know a lot of businesses, Costco might be able to afford it, but you know, some of these businesses that are working out of a small little corner shop, they're not going to be able to afford that. You know, they'll just have to go out and buy a new computer and hope for the best. The second bullet point, don't download stuff randomly. Know what you're putting on your computer. If you don't know, make sure you have somebody that's tech savvy that can do it for you. It might cost you a little bit of money up front, but in the long run, it's worth it. Because if you've got somebody that knows what they're doing, and you might have to pay them $100, $200, $300, but if it comes down to the point that they do it right, it could save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Third bullet point, update software regularly. That's what I talked about before. That way, hackers are always changing. When they find out that somebody's been caught onto one thing, they change a little bit in the code, and then it's like exactly like a virus. That's why they call it, it's a strain. Once they change it, it becomes new, it then hacks the computers, we find ways to prevent it, and then suddenly they've changed a little bit of it, and it's just a continuous cycle. So we're constantly playing catch up. Number 4, use safe browsers. Make sure you know what you use, like Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer. A lot of people use some other different ones, or sometimes there's advertisements for random Internet Explorers. Be careful, because those sometimes have them built in as well and give hackers access directly to your network. Number 5, don't click on unknown links. Again, we live in the age of commercial everything. You go to any page and you're going to find an advertisement for this that you can get, or this that maybe your phone heard you talking about on your phone. Crazy. But don't click on them. Don't follow them, because there's always something in there that they're trying to either bait you into buying, or it's adding malware onto your computer. Number 6, how many of you, well, I know for me, I have a lot of instances, people will give me thumb drives. And I'll take that thumb drive, I just plug it right into my computer, no problem, right? No. They've actually found a lot of the thumb drives that some people will take, or they randomly find, or they don't wipe them correctly, will have viruses on them from previous instances that somebody's put on there, or from software that they've downloaded and put on there. So you plug that into your computer, and now it gives that full access to the network, and gives that person from the outside access to your network. So always scan them. Again, if you don't have an IT guy and you don't know what you're doing, it might be something worth looking into. And then 7, this is the last one. Don't rely on just the trial version of your antivirus. Again, sometimes it's better to not be cheap. Because myself, I had a trial version on my computer. This was a couple years ago, and I thought I was protected. Things were great. I wasn't. I ended up getting a virus. I had to take it to PC Laptops, because they know a lot more than I do about computers. About $150 down the line, they ended up wiping my hard drive. I couldn't get my stuff recovered. And had I paid the $40 to get the actual antivirus, it would have been prevented. So another thing, just to kind of hint, because this is kind of goes with the cybercrime as well. I know we talked about it when I came here a little bit earlier. I think it was with Wendy or Julie, maybe it was Wendy. There's a lot of fraud going around, people making phone calls, talking about, hey, donate to this, or so-and-so's in jail, or, you know, there's these things going on. Don't fall for it. If it sounds too good to be true, or it's something that's got you freaked out, take some time to think about it, make some phone calls. Call us. We're more than happy to let you know. Say, hey, this is what we're seeing. These are the new trends that are going on and people trying to get money. Don't just send people money. Don't just do random things. Think it through first. And in fact, here's an example. Probably about 2 months ago, Wendy's, one of the Wendy's in Spanish Fork, got a call. Somebody says, hey, one of your employees is in jail. They have 3 warrants. Their value is about $1,700. The kind of the manager at the time, takes the money from the till. They instruct them to go to Walmart, buy money cards. They do it, give them the money card information over the phone, and manager comes in and says, hey, where's the money? And bada bing, they're out $1,700. Luckily, their insurance covered it, but they call the employee, which they should have done first, called the employee, and the employee's fine. Has no warrants, doesn't even have a record with us as far as I know. So what are they? And then they send it to me. I can't do anything with it because I have no way of tracking those cards. So again, just be aware. People are always trying to find money, and they're trying to do it easy. Don't be a victim, okay? Does anybody have any questions?
Like Facebook.
Yes, so your question is people are using somebody else's phone number that you're familiar with, shows up on your call ID, and they're claiming they have that person or something like that, yes. Yes, we've seen that quite a bit. With all the new programs that people have, I mean, you can get apps on your phone, and you can disguise your own phone number as whoever. And that's the problem, is when they call that sends it, the phones connect, it then detects the phone number that is on your phone and shows who it is, and it'll say mom, it'll say, dad, it'll say brother, whoever it is, and then it creates an issue because now you really think it's that person. So, but just be aware of that. Like I said, think things through. You know people in your lives better than obviously I would, better than Detective Smith would, anybody else. So just think things through. And again, if you have a question, call us. We're more than willing to help out how best we can, and we'll tell you, we think it's a scam, or we'll say, hey, maybe it's legit, maybe it's not. And in some cases, we might even tell you, you know what, maybe call your attorney, because we can't give you legal advice. But that's the best answer I think I can give.
What do you do when somebody, let's say you have somebody who has a concealed carry permit, and if you're carrying that gun, what do they do? Like, let's say if they're in that situation, you have concealed carry, but you're hiding, or what is the police officer's response, and what should your response be if you are carrying a weapon?
Okay. So you're talking like when I come in contact with you, or the way you're going to handle yourself when we're not there? Okay. Okay. So let's go to first. Who has a concealed weapon here? Who's taking the class? Okay. When can you use it? When you feel your life or somebody's life is threatened, right? So that's your decision on that. I'm not going to tell you different. Obviously, if it's an active shooter and a guy is picking off multiple people, I hope that you as a concealed carry would step in and do your job, right? Then when we come in contact with you, this goes same thing. Hands empty, hands up. If you have a concealed weapon, say, I have a concealed weapon. It's in my pocket. It's over there somewhere. Just please tell us it's here, it's there, it's whatever you have, but please tell us. But going back to you using it, totally on you. I totally support concealed weapons. And again, you guys are going to be the ones there first. We're going to be there hopefully soon, fast, but it's going to be up to you to stop that person if you have a concealed weapon. So again, that goes back to your plan and thinking right now, can you do this? Can you kill somebody if you have to? So that's something you got to ask yourself now. But does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. It's something that I would like businesses and workplaces to start implementing. And if it is something you guys think you want to do, call our police department. I think our SWAT team actually, we want to implement some sort of business active shooter. I know we've done it one, and it's been up at all the not Young Living, what's the other one? doTERRA up in PG. And I mean, it's good training for not only for us, but for you guys. Because like you said, what's your reaction going to be to gunfire in a building? I mean, if anybody's been outside and shooting guns, that's pretty loud, but it's so much more louder in a small workplace, in a building, that you don't have no idea what your reaction is. Obviously, nobody will know until it happens, but again, think ahead, make plans, and get this. We call it a combat mindset, is because we're actually dealing with the problem, but it also something you guys need to think of too. It's something where if it happens again, you got to be able to do something that's going to inflict serious pain or death on that person, because they're doing the same to other people. And hopefully, like I said, you guys could get that stopped. Okay. All right.
Just planning an escape
Escape route, number one thing. Number one thing, escape route. So, okay, guys.
We'd
Thank
like
you.
to thank Detectives Smith and Dennison for their presentation today. I think, of course, all of us hope that we'll never come in contact with active shooter situation, but it is good to be prepared. And I think we're faced with cybersecurity every day. So thank you both so much for some helpful information.